In what was supposed to be the most crucial two-game stretch of the Jim Harbaugh era, the Wolverines suffered a close loss to the Penn State Nittany Lions, and then they welcomed in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and actually had some fun. The following video is my recap of the Michigan Notre Dame game 2019. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is my recap of the 2019 Notre Dame game. My goal is to be short with this one. I am freestyling it, and so I'm just going to give my impressions of the game, my recap of the game, and then my goal is to conclude. So this was a huge game for the Wolverines. They lost a close one to Penn State last week, and this was supposed to be the most critical stretch of the Jim Harbaugh era. And at the end of that Penn State game, something significant happened, and that's that the offense finally started to get on a little bit of a roll, and Shea started completing passes to the wideouts, and our running backs, Zach Charbonnet and Hassan Haskins, started getting running lanes and started really gashing Penn State's defense for runs on the ground. So the question going into this game against Notre Dame was, would they be able to continue that momentum, and would they continue to have a flow on offense, or would it just be a flash in the pan, and would they go back to struggling? And fortunately, they were able to continue rolling. So just quickly, here in the DC area, the World Series is going on, and so I thought that I'd be able to go down to Penn Social in Chinatown and watch the game with the rest of the alumni. But because the World Series is going on, every bar was jam-packed, and that bar was packed with Nationals fans, and the Michigan Notre Dame game was only on 2 TVs, and there was no place to sit, and there was no place to relax and watch the game. So I decided to just come home and watch the game here. So I missed a large chunk of the first quarter and probably the first part of the second quarter, but surprisingly, when I got home and turned my TV on, Michigan was up 17-zip, and I was thinking to myself, wow, is this really happening? Are we really up 17-zip on Notre Dame? Because Notre Dame is ranked number 7, and based upon the way we've played earlier this season, it's kind of inconceivable that we'd be up 17-zip. But we were, and the rain was pouring down, and the field was wet, and the players were wet, and the ball was slippery. And at that point, most of Michigan's offensive production was from the ground game. So Shea wasn't really throwing the ball, and the offensive line was really opening up running lanes for Zach Charbonnet and Hassan Haskins, and it was working. And they were running pretty much at will and pretty much decisively, and it was working, and it was perfect based upon those weather conditions. Now Notre Dame, interestingly, they weren't getting anything going offensively. So anytime they tried to run the ball, we bottled them up, and anytime Ian Book dropped back to pass, he got pressure, or he couldn't complete passes to his receivers. And their first score, if I recall correctly, didn't come until the second half, when they got a pass interference call that they shouldn't have gotten, which moved them closer to the end zone, and Ian Book threw a touchdown pass to their tight end, on the next play, which was another example of us getting hosed by the officiating crew. But they seemed to make it up to us on the next series when they awarded a questionable pass interference call to us when Shea threw a potential touchdown pass to Donovan Peoples-Jones. So in the second half for us, we continued moving the ball on the ground, but we also they also opened up the playbook and started throwing the ball down the field. And Shea was able to connect on 2 touchdown passes, one to Donovan Peoples-Jones and one to Nico Collins, and they extended the lead out even further. I think Notre Dame scored again, but by that point Michigan was so far out ahead that it didn't really matter. So the team won the game going away with a stellar performance by both the offense and the defense. And so our team was able to split this 2-year series with the Fighting Irish. They won last year, we won this year, and I guess the teams aren't going to meet again for another at least 5 years going forward. So I want to say good game, Wolverines. Very good game. Now they have some momentum going forward. They beat a top 10 opponent. A top 10 opponent in our house. And the rest of the schedule leading up to Ohio looks pretty much winnable. They should beat Maryland next week. They should beat Michigan State decisively when Michigan State comes to the Big House on November 16th. Indiana could be a problem. They've had our number recently, and we've squeaked by them the last couple of years. But that should be a winnable game as well if they can get this offense going on the road. And then the question is, how are they going to do when Ohio comes to town? Well, Ohio is rolling now. I mean, and folks are saying that they're the best team in the country, and they're rolling on offense and they're rolling on defense, and they look pretty much unstoppable. My question going forward is, when we get to that game, will our defense be able to slow them down just enough for our offense to keep the game close or maybe even pull ahead at some point? As I was watching last night's game, I was thinking, if the weather conditions were not so bad, how would Notre Dame have done? Would the score have been the same, or would Notre Dame have been able to get some kind of flow going? And, hey, will we see something else at the end of November when Ohio comes, or will it be the typical frigid pre-winter conditions where both teams will be able to throw the ball and run the ball with some consistency? So that's my question going forward. By the time the Ohio game comes around, will the defense be able to slow them down just enough, and will the offense still be able to produce to make it a fight? Or when Ohio comes in, will they steamroll us? If the defense can slow them down, and if the offense can roll, if these running lanes are created against their defense, and if Shea can throw the ball down the field and connect passes to Nico Collins and Donovan Peoples-Jones and Ronnie Bell, and now Mike Sanders, that could be a bit of a fight for Ohio. That said, Ohio manhandled Wisconsin yesterday. So either Ohio was that good, or Wisconsin is showing that they're actually mortal, and they're not as good as the beatdown that they gave us, because they lost to Illinois last week as well. So those are my thoughts on last night's game. It's a relief that they won at least one of those 2 games, Penn State and Notre Dame. They won the Notre Dame game. So now they've got some momentum going forward, and let's see what happens down the stretch of the rest of the regular season. Good win, Wolverines. I'm going to conclude this here. Please like the video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Go blue, and always remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.